What's good, everybody? It's Big Game James. I'm here. Sorry about that. I didn't know I turned the music off. My bad. But I'm just jumping in here right quick. Let's get some more music popping while we talking, though. You know, I like to play my good soothing music to keep me in my mind right. So we got the good soothing music. But this is my video. I already made a video about Kellen Moore is gone. I made a live video. Go check that live video out. Go hit the like button, support it, all that good stuff. But we made that quick video because Kellen Moore is out the building. Kellen Moore is gone. So we might have to move on because it's going to be the same thing. I made the video this Monday and I said the Kellen Moore, Dak Prescott divorce has to happen. If we want to see, quote unquote, the best of Dak Prescott, or we want to see this team go any further, I don't want to see Kellen Moore with Dak Prescott any longer. And a lot of us have been clamoring during the year, why isn't Mike McCarthy taking over calling the plays? Why is Mike McCarthy? He even said it himself, he's more a fan of the West Coast offense, not of the curl routes or the short routes that Kellen Moore was doing. He said he likes to put more of the onus on the QB. A lot of people said that's what they want from Dak. That's what they want from this offense. It's going to be better. And personally, I don't want them to bring in an offensive coordinator that you don't know about. I hear Brian Schottenheimer, but it would just be a connection to Mike McCarthy. But Mike McCarthy is going to be calling the plays, right? So if Mike McCarthy is going to be calling the plays, which I want personally, I don't want another offensive coordinator coming in here because we don't know about him. And if that offense is bad, the first excuse is going to come up. Well, that offensive coordinator that came in didn't suit Dak or this and that. See right here with Mike McCarthy being the offensive play caller, calling the plays. You won a Super Bowl in Green Bay. I don't care how long ago it was, and you called them. You won a Super Bowl game. You won playoff games with you calling the offense. You had a Super Bowl quarterback. You had a quarterback who's going to go down to one of the best in history. So everybody's saying Dak is a top guy. I'm saying he's good to very good. But I said he's peaked. So now I'm going to get to see what Mike McCarthy be able to coach Dak. And we already have the implements of defense because Dan Quinn came back and those two were cool. Because obviously we saw that dynamic the year before. One of the reasons they had great conversations, Dan Quinn and Mike McCarthy. So I believe Dan Quinn wanted to come back because he knew Kellen Moore was going to be gone. He had to know. So if Kellen Moore leaves and now it's Mike McCarthy, to me, the topic of this video, no more excuses for nobody. And you can come out here and say I'm being negative already and whatever. No, I'm not. I just don't want to hear no more excuses from nothing. I don't want to hear no more excuses for Dak. I don't want to hear no more excuses for the coaching, Kellen Moore, the failures. Now you have the bona fide guy who's been there and done that. All the pressure is on him to make it happen. And all the pressure to me is on Dak to make it happen. Because from beyond there ain't no more excuses for the quarterback or the coach or nothing. And you need to move on. But let's see this. I'm going to bring up some stuff in the air, though. I want you to check out right quick. And this is the Philadelphia Eagles. I ain't even trying to hype up the Eagles, but let's just talk about what's really going on out there in these streets, right? The Eagles made moves, okay? And this is talking about pressure, but this is pressure really on the organization as well, because it ain't going to just fall on Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott, because you, as the organization and front office, have to get aggressive in some manner and go ahead and make some moves. Now, I've been on record of saying many a times, Cowboys don't have to go crazy in free agency. Just get a couple guys. Just a couple that can get you over the hump. I've been screaming that. I have not ran away from it. When I look at it right now, this dynamic I'm going to talk about, it still involves that, because it can't just be Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy, even though it's going to be on them on the field, but that front office has to continue to help that team. And how they don't help the team, in my opinion, is here's the thing. In midseason, we needed a stuffer, right? You shouldn't have got rid of John Ridgeway. That was a bona fide mistake because I feel like he's going to be good. But you still wouldn't have got out Jonathan Hankins. I wanted that 2 years ago when he was at a better peak. 28, he's now 30. You get what I'm saying? So you're still going the cheap route to get him when you got him. Did he help your team? Hell yes, he did. But is he a guy that's getting you over the hump year in? No, he's not. He's not getting you over the hump. He's a good piece, but he's not a player that's going to get you over the hump. And then you were flirting with Odell. That was a player I felt like if you could get that explosiveness, but I don't know if he was ready. And, medical reports, all that. I don't know about that stuff. But I felt like if you were flirting with that, you're trying to tell us that you're really trying to get an explosive player. You got T.Y. Hilton, but he wasn't the guy that he was when he was 26 or 27. He's 33, so he's not the guy. So you got him when he was done more. He was going on his way out, and it was cheaper for you. So here's the thing. That's why I say the front office still lets down the team because you're still doing it cheap. Even though it's great that you do draft. You're great in drafting. You have to be great in drafting because if you're not great in drafting, the team is not going to be good, okay? Yes, there are shrewd how you do the free agency, how you're not always you don't sign people with, you don't kill people with the free agency and the tags. I get it. But at the same time, you're going to have to get a couple guys. And here's the thing, what I'm just going to say while I'm saying this. All right, so just a couple of tweets that I wanted to go with. I want you to check out these tweets. I don't know who this person is, but I shared this tweet. He's pretty got a lot of followers up there, I think. Yeah, 386,000 followers right here. I really never heard of him. Who's that? Is that? Oh, that's that guy. Okay. So there you go. Now, listen to what he's saying. Now, I'm not a guy that follow him, but what he's saying is true because this is what your general manager, who Jerry Jones is, right? Front office, owners made difficult decisions. Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones, those are the only ones making those type of decisions, right? Drafting Hurts despite having Carson Wentz. We saw that, and I was even an eye-opener when they drafted Jalen Hurts and you still had Carson Wentz because they felt like he was still okay. You fired your coach after, 2019 season? You just won the Super Bowl in 2017. That was bold. Trading your number 2 pick, which was Wentz. Nobody thought that was going to happen. You were just going to trade him and believe in Hurts, who was unproven at the time. Hiring an assist offensive head coach who didn't call plays. Yes, you took a gamble on Nick Sirianni. Nah, I like how they went with Mike McCarthy. But those first 3 ones, Dallas would never do. They will stay with it, and I said this, they stay with their players, and I'm going to make sure that they stay with their players to the very end because they just will do it. They don't never see something ahead of time. Okay, we need to make this trade, or we need to get rid of this person. This is about to happen. And if we do trade them, we don't know how to trade, and we don't get the collateral that some of these other teams get. So that's one thing right there. Then I'm going to go to this other tweet, and this is from my guy, Dalton Miller. I follow him. He's been on my show a couple times. Shout out to him. And this is just things that they were saying that just kind of made sense to me as well. He said the Eagles are headed to the Super Bowl because of Howie Roseman. I mean, he is. 2017, they did the same thing, and I showed the things. They got aggressive in free agency. They drafted well, just like they did this year. They draft well, too, but they're still aggressive in free agency. That's the difference to me. They draft well, just like Dallas, but they're aggressive in free agency. So they add some icing on the cake with the drafting instead of relying on just our players and just our team, and we're just going to stay homegrown, which cool. All right, you're like 75%, like second in the league or homegrown players. But if them homegrown players ain't doing it, then what? And then if you're saying, well, it's the play calling, well, it's this. Okay, so this is my thing. You can stay, if you're going to stay with that method, then that's going to put the pressure on Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott, this offense, to be great and perfect in a way, because you're saying we're not getting no free agents, we're not going to get those top players, so those teams are going to have an advantage over you, especially if they're drafting just as good as you. That's the key. Those teams like Philadelphia know how to draft well as well, and they know how to be shrewd with their draft picks. You just saw how they did. They had their top pick. They had 2 of them, got rid of one, got A.J. Brown. He made a difference for their team. He was a top guy. He wasn't no middle-level free agent. He was a guy, just like Hassan Reddick. He was a guy. But you see right there, you made the A.J. Brown trade. You signed Hassan Reddick. I'm going to show those stats. The Saints trade, Gardner Johnson trade. That was the trade with Saints, Gardner Johnson. You went out and got us, and that was like out of nowhere. You went and got Bradbury. You signed him. Nobody thought that was going to happen. That was aggressive. The Slay trade a few years ago, aggressive. Then you added Linval and Sue, mid-season addition. He's going right back to the Super Bowl after leaving the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And you could have had Ndamukong Suh. I'm not hating on Jonathan Hankins, but you could have had Ndamukong Suh and he has left the Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers thinking about retirement. The Eagles pick him up mid-season. He's going right back to the Super Bowl. I'm just saying. Cutting bait on a Super Bowl quarterback he just paid and a head coach who just won a Super Bowl, and he cut. What a business. That's what he says right there. So that's another thing just to take advantage, just to look at. So here's 2017. And we remember at the time when this happened, he was aggressive then. So this is 2017. Now the year before, right, I just want you to read something right here. They were 7-9, 2016, and they switched and went 13-3. This past year, they were 9-7, made the playoffs, got beat up in that first round, came right back 14-3 in the Super Bowl, making shrewd trades. Torrey Smith, he wasn't a guy, but he was a factor. Alshon Jeffrey was a factor with those Bears. He was still a good player, and to get him on that one-year deal, we're like, oh, okay. Nick Foles was a good backup for you to have just in case, Wentz. Chris Long, I thought was a great pickup because he still had juice in him. And LeGarrette Blount was a good backup. And then you got the other running back that you picked up from the Cardinals. I can't remember, Jay Ajayi, and he was running hard at that time. So they were aggressive. That's the point. That's the point to me. And then you picked in free agency. You got Hassan Reddick. Okay, let's go to what he did. These were his numbers this year. I mean, from your being aggressive in free agency, this is what he did. He was damn good. People were comparing to Michael Parsons. I ain't gonna say that, but I always liked Hassan Reddick. He's always been a damn good player, and he went and turned up over in Philly. You feel me? Look what he did today. Look what he did for the season. You know what I mean? This is what his stats were for the season. So, I mean, he came in and turned up. I mean, we could go right here to A.J. Brown. I mean, these were the picks you got. This is your trade that you made. You was bold with it. 88 catches for 1,400 yards, 11 touchdowns. He made a difference. He's only 25 years old, and you made a big-time trade for him. You didn't wait. That's the thing, and that's what I'm gonna go to right here. I'm gonna scroll through all this, and this is what I said. Dallas' major problem to me is they hold on to players way too long. Ezekiel Elliott. I can think of more players. I just don't have them in my head. There's players, Tyron Smith. I mean, there's plenty of players Dallas just holds on to, and we're like, why don't you get rid of them? While they're trending down, you can get something for them. They won't do it. And they wait because they want to stay with their guys. They don't want to go out of that realm, and they want to force it to, like, we want to win this way through draft picks, our own guys, and sign mid-level agents that really, are past their time. We don't really got to pay them. I mean, that'll get you so far. And I think that's the problem with me. It gets you so far. When it's time to replace them, it's too late, right? You're not really getting no value from them. But I feel like it's only going to take you to a playoff game right here, like we did, or a playoff win. But it's not going to get you over the hump. And I think that's where I'm at now. Yes, the players that you're getting the way you're doing is going to make them competitive. They're going to win because you're drafting well. But if you don't add a few players here and there, this is what's going to happen. Those other teams will get over the hump because they were more aggressive, and that's what it is. Conservative never wins, and you don't have to kill your team. You're not going to kill your team by what happened right here with those trades and that Philly made. And even with the Rams, you get mad at them. They made trades and were shrewd in free agency, and boom, Super Bowl. Tampa Bay did the same thing. Boom, Super Bowl. You got to get aggressive in free agency, but still have a core team. You still have a core team. You're one of the youngest teams in the NFL. You're like average 25 years of age. You can still go out there and make some shrewd player. We need some speed. Go out there. You could be shrewd, but they don't want to. They just kind of settle and say, this is what we're going to make it this way. You knew you had a CeeDee Lamb. You could have went with Amari Cooper, but he wasn't explosive, but he was a damn good receiver. You let him go and put your marbles in CeeDee Lamb being great, but he's not that super explosive speed guy. like he runs a good 4.5, but he's not outrunning people like that. You needed to add an addition to that. You counted on Michael Gallup with a tore up knee. Then you drafted a receiver who you've never seen in the NFL. So that's putting a lot of pressure on a guy you've never seen. And you draft him in the 3rd round and from South Alabama. So you're putting a lot of trajectory in it, whether you're going with a player who's been there and done that with A.J. Brown. I'm just understanding the correlation. He's been there and done that. We got somebody who's young. He's been there. He's explosive. Let's go ahead and make that right now because we got a good team. Let's go ahead and do that right now. Dallas won't do that. They'll say, oh, well, we got these young guys, and if it don't work, we got them next year. I told y'all that's the philosophy and the thought, and I told y'all many shows ago that that's what they think. Oh, well, we didn't get it. Well, we're young. We can come back next year. So there really isn't a sense of urgency within the organization to really get the team over the hump. They're content with staying with the draft and doing it this way. But it's a piece. So now you're going to have to expect your players to play above everything else. So here it is. So right here, this is what has to be. Okay? And like I said, I'll give it to the Eagles. They're aggressive in free agency, trades, making that, and they're back in it. Dallas, meanwhile, relies on their own and rookies. Dallas should have beat the Niners, but I don't know if they would have beat the Eagles due to personnel differences and no Tony Pollard. I believe that because we didn't have a Tony Pollard and you still had Kellen Moore coaching. So I don't even think we would have probably won that game. Just me, I wanted them to win, but we look at line for line the personnel, how their personnel was compared to us, receivers, the running game. They had more backs than us. Line for line, no. And then Kellen Moore. So, and then you had no Tony Pollard. How do we think we were going into Philly the way we were playing in that game and thought we were going to win that? No, that wouldn't have happened either. So that's just the reality of it. So then, I'm slowing up in here, and I said this on my Twitter 3 days ago. If you heard Jerry Jones talking all that noise, talking about I want you to be coach as long as Tom Landry, just talking crazy because he ain't even going to be here that long. Not being disrespectful, but you're not. So if you're saying that, then execute power, and when Kellen Moore says he's going to be evaluated, move on. Because my thing is, you never really were on Kellen Moore. So if you never really were on Kellen Moore, remove him, put it on you, put it on Dak, put it on this offense, draft him or get him or some receivers, make a shrewd trade, and say you're all in. You're trying to say you're all in right here, then say it right there. Now, this is something, and like I said, pressure, nobody else. You calling plays, I don't want to hear no excuses from nobody, none, not from me. And then right here, this is going to be interesting to me because I want to show you. See, if Kellen Moore goes to Chargers, which I kind of hope he does go to the Chargers, because I want this argument to hear this argument as well to cease. If he goes to the Chargers with Justin Herbert, those guys, Kenny Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler, and they go crazy, Cowboys fans are going to lose their mind. No, I'm not going to lose my mind. It's just going to prove the point. Okay? The point is going to prove to me, because this is what I said at the bottom of it. It's going to prove something to me. So this is what I said at the bottom. It may prove some things about that quarterback QB argument as well between Herbert and Dak. Now, I said I had Herbert above Dak. People got mad at me that I had Justin Herbert. Oh, Justin Herbert ain't never won nothing. Justin Herbert ain't never did nothing. Justin Herbert ain't even never made it to the playoffs. I get that. I agree with that. But I was talking about just the talent-wise of Justin Herbert. I feel like talent-wise, quarterback-wise, Justin Herbert was a better quarterback than Dak Prescott. Yeah, he ain't got to the playoffs. Yeah, he hadn't taken that next level and was choking, but they got to the playoffs this year with that coach. Yes, the team choked, but there was a lot of bad coaching on there. And they go crazy, make the playoffs and do something, while Dallas still kind of flounders and still doing the same thing. Well, that's going to prove some things to me about Prescott. And before I close, yes, the fire is on for me for the team, Dak Prescott, all that. Sorry I feel that way. That's just the way I feel. And I'm not really going to change from that. If you want to call me, turning on Dak or anything, I ain't turning on Dak. It's anything. I'm going to say this, any job, after 7 years at a job, they ain't going to be looking at me making the same mistakes. They're going to be firing me. I ain't probably going to make no 7 years of doing the same thing over and over. I'm not saying doing the same thing, but you're doing some things that you shouldn't be doing, in my opinion. So now you have the coach who's won Super Bowl, who's been there, And let's see how you do it. Because to me, there should be no excuses why you can't take the next level, right? Because people are saying Kellen Moore was holding back this offense. So if you draft good and you make a shrewd trade, which you won't, and you're going to put it all on your players, well, I hope y'all ready to make this happen. Because if y'all fail under Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott, then who's it going to be then? That's the only question I want to know from everybody. What's it going to be then if that happens? Because there ain't no excuses. Not for me. Big Game James. I'm out. Go check out my last video. Give it a like and share. If you'd like to donate, the super thanks are available now. A couple people hit me with the super thanks. You can super thanks the video if you choose. We definitely appreciate